Okay, let's get into it. Today we are doing a deep dive into one of the most famous sayings ever: all roads lead to Rome. And for most of us, that phrase, omnes via Roma ducunt, it's kind of become this negative meme, you know?
It has. You hear it when things get complicated or frustrating.
Exactly. It's like this feeling of, oh, great, no matter what I do, I'm going to end up in the same spot I was trying to avoid. It has this like heavy fatalistic vibe to it.
And historically, that weight was very much intentional. It was a raw statement of power, of absolute efficiency. But our mission today is to flip that script completely.
Right.
We're going to look at this ancient wisdom not as a map of the world, but as, well, an intentional architecture for your mind, a positive thinking mechanism.
So the idea is that Rome isn't some old city anymore. Rome is your desired reality. It's the goal you're aiming for, your highest self-concept.
And the roads.
The roads are all the different ways you can get there, including, and this is key, all the detours and setbacks along the way.
Exactly. We're taking that physical, ancient structure and using it as a map for your internal world. It's about finding the trust that's already baked right into that architecture.
So let's start with the literal foundation, because the sheer scale of what the Romans built it's just mind-boggling. They didn't just say this, they actually engineered it.
Oh, they absolutely did. This was a building project that spanned, what, 8 centuries? Started way back in the 4th century BC.
8 centuries?
Yeah, and at its peak, the network was over 250,000 miles. That's 400,000 kilometers. Just think about that. A coordinated effort across an entire continent.
And these weren't just, dirt paths. The Romans were obsessed with efficiency. These roads were paved. They were engineered with layers. They were built for function, not for looks.
Right. They were for moving legions fast, for trade, for communication, for projecting power.
And every single one of those thousands of miles, they all connected back to one single point.
The Millenarium Aureum, the golden milestone.
The golden milestone.
Emperor Augustus put it in the Roman Forum around 20 BC. It was literally the 0 point. Every distance in the entire empire was measured from that one spot. It just reinforced that Rome was the absolute center of everything.
That's just such a powerful piece of intentional design. It's a physical statement that says no matter where you are, there is a route back to the center.
And many of those routes, these huge highways or Viae Consulares, they're still there. They're part of modern roads today.
Like the Via Appia.
The Via Appia is the perfect example. Built in 312 BC, they called it the Queen of Roads. It connected Rome all the way to Brindisi, their main port to the east. Or you have the Via Salaria, named for sal, the Latin word for salt.
The salt road.
The critical route for the salt trade. So literally, the saying was just a statement of fact. You had all these different paths for different reasons, but the system was designed to funnel everything back to one outcome.
Yeah, the central point.
Exactly. The structure guaranteed it.
Okay, so now we make the shift. We're taking that physical architecture and we're laying it over our internal world. If Rome is the goal, financial freedom, a new career, a new self-concept, then the roads are your internal actions.
Yes, the meditation, the visualization, the studying.
But it's critical to define that internal Rome the right way, isn't it? Because if you get that wrong, the whole map is useless.
That's the whole game. True manifestation, what we're really talking about is an internal shift. It's about getting to a place internally where you are no longer emotionally dependent on seeing the outside world change.
Okay, hang on. Let's unpack that. Emotional independence. Why is that the crucial piece?
Because if your happiness, your sense of success, depends on the external world, the client signing, the number on the scale, then the external world owns you.
It controls your emotional state.
100%. And if it doesn't deliver on your timeline, your internal state, your frequency, it just collapses. You're making the external thing the destination, not the internal state you build.
Right, and that's where people get lost because they're focusing on what we're told is just an illusion.
Precisely. The visible world, what our senses pick up, it's something like 0.00035% of what actually exists. It's a tiny fraction.
Wow.
So if you're obsessing over that tiny little sliver, the external result, you're focusing on the illusion. And that illusion is designed to create doubt and delay. The only way to hold that high frequency you need to get to Rome is to focus purely on the internal shift.
So the real road network isn't the outer actions, it's the inner maintenance. But I mean, even when you're doing all that work, you hit detours, big ones. Which brings us to a huge psychological trap. When people really commit to this internal work, what you call the spiritual ego pops up.
It does.
And it plants this idea, this illusion of perfection. It whispers, hey, you're doing the work, so everything should be easy now. No more problems, no lows.
And that expectation immediately crashes into a universal law. The law of rhythm. Everything has tides. High and low, The pendulum swings in and it swings out. You can't escape that rhythm.
So trying to force a constant high is actually counterproductive.
It creates disharmony. You're fighting the universe, and the universe will always reflect that fight right back at you.
So what's the mechanism then? How do you handle that inevitable low tide? The client walks, you don't get the promotion. How do you stop that from tanking your entire frequency?
The central idea here, and this is so liberating, is that nothing is a problem until you say it is.
Okay.
An event happens. Adversity strikes. Our default is to immediately attach an emotional meaning to it. This is a failure. This proves it's not working. And that meaning, that label of wrong, is what shatters your frequency.
So this is the alchemy you were talking about. Reality is just neutral. We're the ones who give it meaning.
That's it. Reality just is. A client canceling is just an event. It has zero meaning until we give it one. And your subconscious mind, it just accepts whatever you program it to believe. And that programming is driven by emotion. The alchemist knows how to take any event and redefine it to serve their realm.
Give me a real-world example. What about something like intense self-doubt that feels like a clear sign that your internal work is just, well, falling apart?
That's the classic trick. Self-doubt and overthinking are almost never a sign that you're doing something wrong.
So what are they?
They're the old frequencies defense mechanism. Your old self feels threatened because you're changing, you're transforming. Its existence is at risk. So it creates doubt as a last-ditch effort to pull you back.
So feeling that doubt can actually be reframed as a sign of progress, a sign that you're winning.
Absolutely. If you weren't making progress, the old self wouldn't even bother to fight. And it loves to sell you this other illusion, the illusion of zero. It's the idea that, oh, you stumbled, so now you're right back at the start. All that progress is gone. It's totally false. A stumble is just a detour on the road. You can never go back to zero unless you believe you can. A pothole doesn't erase the whole highway.
Okay, so to really lock in that internal state, especially when the potholes are more like craters, we have to talk about what you call negative gratitude.
This sounds intense.
It's the highest form of this work, really. It's about transcending how we normally think about gratitude.
Right. Usually we're grateful for a tough time, only in hindsight. Months later we say, I'm glad that happened. It taught me so much.
The lesson only arrives after the pain is gone.
But you're saying you need to feel that gratitude in the moment. I have to ask, isn't that just toxic positivity? Like pretending to be grateful when you've just been hit with something awful. How can that be genuine?
It's a fair question, but it misses the mechanism. It's not denial, it's transmutation, it's alchemy.
Okay.
If you can look at that adversity while it's happening, while the bad news is being delivered, and find a genuine internal state of gratitude for it, you are sending a profound signal to the universe.
What's the signal?
The signal is that you have already overcome it. Internally, you've already integrated the lesson. You have already decided this event serves your journey to Rome. Ah, I see.
So reality gets this conflicting signal. A positive frequency coming from a supposedly negative event. And because of that, the situation itself has to change. It has to dissipate or transmute because you're not fighting it. You're defining it out of existence.
So the goal is to be in a wanted state, even in an unwanted condition.
That is the very definition of this work. The only thing you ever have to control is yourself and your definition of what's happening.
Which brings this whole thing full circle back to the core idea. The ultimate mindset is just trusting that all paths do, in fact, lead to Rome.
That is the most powerful stance you can take. The absolute certainty that no matter what, no matter where you go, you are on your way to your desired reality. It's about transcending that black and white thinking.
So if you truly accept that all the pathways lead to the same place, your Rome, then a lost job or a financial hit, they're just scenic routes. They're detours. They aren't failures.
They're just the rhythm of the universe playing out. They're just a different road on the same map. And here is the paradox that sets you free. The very act of trying to maintain a high frequency, of constantly fighting off the lows, is what attracts the adversity you have to fight in the first place.
Because the fighting itself implies there's a conflict.
Exactly. But if you just adopt the stance that all paths lead to Rome until I say otherwise, you step out of the conflict, the focus shifts from fighting fires to just trusting the architecture you already built. And reality, which has to obey the beliefs you programmed, will just find another way to pull you toward your golden milestone.
So, wrapping this up, what does this all really mean for you, for the listener? We've taken this very literal, very efficient piece of Roman engineering and used it as a map for our own internal architecture. It's about recognizing that your destination is, in a way, inevitable. It doesn't matter if there are detours or low points, as long as you refuse to label any specific path as wrong. The road is already built, you just have to keep walking.
If we just look one last time at that Millenarium Aureum, that one golden milestone that organized an entire empire, it leaves a final, pretty important question for you to think about.
What's that?
What is the single, undeniable golden milestone in your internal world? What is that one central truth that every choice, every detour, every success, and every failure must inevitably lead back to?
That is a powerful question. Shifting the focus from the journey to the anchor point. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. And if you enjoyed this, cutting through the noise to find the positive power in these old ideas, please make sure to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the architecture of knowledge. We'll see you next time.